Hey guys, what's up? V8 Merc here. I'm going to show you guys how to install the grip wing attachment. When you get it, it will arrive to you with the screws pre-installed on here. They're not all the way in. They're just like that so they don't get loose. And if you did get the optional thumb shelf attachment, the screws are actually on the inside. You can see the heads there and the bottom of the screws there. Now on these, they have a little bit of a nub that was left over that was filed, grinded off over here. So one side is going to be really clean. That's the side that you want facing up. If you got a clear one, the clear ones are going to come like this. Also with the screws pre-installed. They may look a little bit ratty. They're not. Actually, this is a layer of protective plastic on it. It's on both sides, so make sure you peel off both sides. And when you do, but you can see how terrible that looks, but when you peel it off, it's crystal clear. So it's perfectly clean, nice clean cuts on the sides. Alright, so we're going to just go over the installation on a general Bakelite grip, which most people have. These are super inexpensive, few bucks, you know, or you probably have one in your parts bin. The tools that you're going to need, a drill. You're going to need some drill bits. You can get a real cheap set if you need to. The sizes, all you're going to need are 1/8 and 3/16. Those are only two sizes you'll be needing. Phillips head screwdriver, because all the screws that I decided to choose on these were Phillips heads, just to make it easier so you don't have to have a special Allen key. Maybe a knife if you need to do some deburring on here, and possibly some beveling on the back side, depending on how it fits on the Bakelite grips. Maybe you have a plastic one. They usually have more room on there. And maybe a blade if you really need one to clean up some burrs from cutting. Or, excuse me, from drilling. Alright, so what we're going to do first is we're going to take our grip wing here, and we want to take out the screws. And now you want to just line up your grip with the grip wing here, and originally these are kind of designed to line up with the checkering here right up to the edge, but you can back it off more, put it on more. It doesn't make too big of a difference. So I'm just going to line it up like that. The most important thing is that this gap here between what would be the receiver and the top of the fin is not enough where you can get your thumb over it. So that's the most important part. So we're just going to do this. I recommend you can use a marker, which I should have set up beforehand. And what we're going to do is just mark the first hole here. And you want to get the angle right however you want it. The best way to do this is you want to drill the first hole, tighten the screw down, and then drill the other holes subsequently after that. Something else I'd also recommend is a damp paper towel or something like that if you're working with Bakelite, because you don't want to breathe this dust in. You don't want to just sweep it away. You want to pick it up. Now with the first hole drilled, what you can do is install the wing with just the first top hole. Probably get it started in the wing up here first, just like the way it was shipped. Place it over the hole and tighten it. Now one thing that happens when you, even though you may mark your hole a certain way, if you have some deep checkering, the bit will walk to one side or the other, so you can probably pick the side that's going to prevent overhang in that case. So with the first one set, what you can do is you can get the angle correct here, and when you do that, just mark the next hole, drill, put the screw in, and go to the next hole from there. Alright, with the third and final hole drilled, just tap it off, wipe it up. If you have any burrs here, you can trim them up with the blade or the knife or something like that. And if your hole is a little bit off, it's not too big of a deal, because this is like an ABS plastic. You can use a round file and kind of get a little oblong. The threads don't need to cut into this, just the head of the screw needs to hold it, so even if you do open it up a little bit, the head will cover it up. So it's not too big of a deal. Alright, now the most important part here is not to over tighten. All you need to do is just get it snug, and then it'll kind of slip in your hand, because once you strip out these threads you can't fix it unless you put epoxy or something like that, or you go to a bigger screw to cut a larger thread. Now the next thing that we want to do is we want to work on our thumb shelf here, and what we want to do is remove the screws from the thumb shelf. Alright, with the screws removed, the holes for the thumb shelf are exactly 1/2 of an inch apart. So what I would do is you just set it where you want it, and I recommend you actually put it in the middle of the grip. I will show you on another grip what you can do with them. If you run it too far forward, it doesn't work as well, and if you run it too far back, it can dig into your hand. But I find in the middle is good enough. Now, when I was talking about beveling the back, it depends on how wide this gap is here. These were machined to fit perfectly in between here. Some of the aftermarket grips, they're plastic, or the US ones will have more of a gap here, and that's because this top ridge here is not present on those, or it's less defined. So you can go up higher in that case. And then we just want to kind of line it up with the way the checkering is here and set it like that. And then we're going to just mark it with a drill for the first hole. You can actually mark both. It's not too big of a deal. And you can see we got some clearly defined marks there to drill. So with the holes drilled here, you can see we got some burrs sticking up, and this is where you would use a blade just to kind of clean it up. Alright, now all we have to do is drop the screws into the thumb shelf, and we want to pick the cleanest side. One side will have a little burr that was removed. And then all you have to do is just kind of thread the screw down, and it will start to stick out on this side. Just watch it with your finger. And again, same thing here. If you overdo it and you strip the threads out, it's not going to do you any good, so don't get carried away. And that's that. Now you got the thumb shelf attached. And here's another one that's been installed already on a rifle. This one I was prototyping to see what position the thumb shelf does the best, and it actually does the best in the middle. The way the thumb shelf works is your finger actually goes over it. Now this rifle is clear, no magazine, but your finger goes over the top of it, and your thumb goes here, and it stays kind of hidden. And it actually gets your trigger finger right on top of it, gets the pad of the finger right there. And one of the best things to do is to take your palm and put it into the base of it and kind of bring it all the way in as much as you can to get a good grip on it. And you can see on the other side, this is what it looks like. So not bad for a really cheap option using the cheap surplus grips out there. Now the grip wing is not just limited to the Bakelite grips. You can actually use them on other polymer grips. This one is a Yugoslavian grip, and it has the same shape. The important part is that you maintain this gap between the stock, the top of the receiver, so your thumb can't go over it, and then the design will still work on a variety of other AKM style grips. Now, depending on if you have this material up here on your Bakelite grip, or on your plastic grip, you can actually do this modification with a thumb shelf. And if your grip allows for it, go for it, because it does help quite a bit more. You can also modify the Bakelite ones where you remove part of the material here to get this type of an angle, but if not, it's not too big of a deal. It still works just fine. There are some US grips that actually have this that's really thin, and on those, so you could probably even tilt it like that. But the point is that you can use it on different types of grips. These Yugoslavian ones are dirt cheap too, just like these Romanian Bakelite ones as well. And here's a sneak peek at what a clear one would look like, and you guys can see it with the reflection of the camera, but there's always a certain angle where you can't see it, and it attaches the same way. Nothing different about it. So that's the grip wing attachment. That's how you install it. Hope you guys like the very cheap option there is out there to avoid registration. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys.